Yo, what up, everyone? Welcome to all new episode of Changing the Game with G-Lew, the beautiful Deandra Chanel. Tonight we got a very special guest. We got a good one tonight. We have Veronica Contreras, aka Stranger from Echo Park, Mi Vida Loca. All of that. It's gonna be great. Everyone, get ready. It's going down. This is Changing the Game. Righty, here we go. It's G-Lew. I am G-Lew. That's the beautiful Deandra Chanel, and we are changing the game. What's up, Deandra?
How's it going?
It's going great. It's going great. It's going great for a Tuesday. You know what I mean? Very
Yeah,
excited about the show tonight. But what's up with you?
not much. Still on cloud nine from Sunday, and our guest was a part of
Hold on,
that.
hold
Her
on,
name
hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. Wait a
got
minute.
it.
We gotta give you your flowers. Tell them about this weekend what went down. We gotta give you your flowers, please.
So this weekend I walked in my first one-way show ever. For House and Mirror, which is an
Hmm.
amazing clothing brand out of West Covina. And then this past Sunday, because of Vero and Chino Mike, I was honored to be able to show my designs at the Canyon for Chino Mike's birthday. So I had my second fashion show this year, but it's the first one that I had with brand new designs that I hadn't displayed.
Wow, beautiful, beautiful,
And this
beautiful,
this little baby here is one of them.
beautiful.
So I'm excited for that. But I'll talk about that after the show because it's not about me; it's about Vero.
Okay, well, tell them
So
what we got going on tonight.
So tonight we have such an amazing soul, such a humble soul. She is probably one of the sweetest people that I've met in the industry since I started.
Right.
And she is a legend in her own right from the movie Mi Vida Loca. Let us welcome Veronica Contreras, aka Stranger.
Oh, there she is.
Hi,
Hello, honey.
hello, hello.
How are you?
I'm doing fine in yourself.
Good. Thank you so much for coming on. It's greatly appreciated.
Oh, you're
What's up,
welcome.
stranger?
Hi, what's up? What's up? Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you for being here. It's very we're honored to have you tonight. Honored.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So
Yep.
at this point, we've had probably like one third of the cast on the show one way or another. So we are happy that you graced us with your presence.
Yes.
So let's start off by getting to know you a little bit better. So I heard a rumor that you are originally from Inglewood.
Yeah, born and raised.
Okay.
Well, I was born there. I was raised there till I was about 3, 4 years old, and then
And
my
then,
parents separated.
Mhm.
oh, I see.
Yeah, I already had family living here in Echo Park. So when my parents separated, we came to live with my grandparents over here in Echo Park. Yeah. But I
So
was
you're
born
still
there.
currently there.
Huh?
You're still currently there.
In Echo Park? Yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
Wow.
I was born at Sentinella Hospital.
so your heart's there
Yeah.
from the very beginning. Do you think, and we've asked guessed this in the past. Do you think that certain things happen in your life because they were destined to happen that way?
Because my what?
Because they were destined to happen that way.
Oh yeah.
So had that move not happened, clearly we wouldn't be where we are.
As I got in older, I really believe like in signs and like I think back of stuff that happened, and yeah, I definitely feel that it was meant to. This was my destiny, definitely.
So I want to get straight into it. How does it feel to be a legend out here in these streets?
I don't, I'm such a humble person, man. I don't even try to consider myself a legend, but when people tell me it's an honor, it's a good feeling. Um, I would, especially because of the movie, right? But I feel I'm more a legend, and because of the work in the community that I've done,
Right.
fighting against LAPD, fighting for adult and youth rights, gentlemen and women that were incarcerated. That was something that was, and for my community, that was something that I didn't realize I had in me until I was fighting it. And when I overcame barriers, I was like, that's what I want people to know me for. That I've made changes. This is why a lot of these men and women were able to get released from prison, or lifers, especially the lifers, had a big impact in a lot of the work that I did.
How did you start your journey with philanthropy?
How did I what?
How did you start
They,
your journey with philanthropy?
they say it's kind of hold on. They say it's kind of hard to hear you, Deandra. I don't know. Maybe turn up your mic a little bit.
Let me turn up the volume a little bit.
Can you hear me, stranger?
I can hear you clear. Yeah.
Okay, okay, cool.
Is that a little bit better?
I can hear you. Can you
It's
ask
just you go
Veronica?
in and out sometimes.
Oh, I see. Maybe if I pull a little bit forward. Okay, are we a little bit better now?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, how did you start your journey with philanthropy? Like, what made you start doing community work?
My degree was accounting, and I had did that for 10 years. And in 2014, 15, in my neighborhood, there was a lot of things going on between homeboys, and I had a homeboy that lost. He just lost it. Was high off drugs and killed two other of my homeboys, and
Mm,
that's what got me started to do my gang intervention work. I had a friend that came to assist the family with their, whatever financial struggles they were having, assist the family with like burial services and stuff like that. Um, and we happened to run into each other, and she was like telling me about the program I should apply. And I was like, well, I don't have a degree in psychology. So, like, how, I'd have to go back to school. She's like, no. She goes, shit, your gang lifestyle is your experience. So it blew me away to learn about the program that this city was funding and had money for. And I got involved. So I got hired, and I was working with an organization out here in Lincoln Park. And then that kind of turned, it was good for a couple years, and I really got my foot in the door, starting to get to know like the people from the city, people, other agencies and organizations that were doing the same line of work that I was doing. But it started turning sour when the program director started to, I don't know, I say jealousy because I brought in my numbers. I brought in the kids. I was able to host and events and bring different rival gangs together in a peaceful moment. We would hold softball events, just and then take them out into the community. Sometimes even out of the community, like Knott's Berry Farm, Magic Mountain. Like, having these young kids explore things that they don't get to explore because of financial backgrounds and stuff like that. And I really took to liking to it. So I bounced around from different agencies, organizations, and I started doing wraparound services. It was a more intense program. This time working with families together, with therapists, kids that just got released from juvenile hall, and it was really life changing for me. I started to see and recognize that it was my calling to help these kids and families in the community. Um, And then in 2015, my neighborhood and a couple other gangs within my neighborhood got served with a gang injunction. And one of my homeboys got served while he was in prison, which was illegal.
mm,
He came out, he brought it, and thought that I knew what it was about, since I was kind of in that field and line of work. Um, I had no clue what it was about, and I was dumbfounded when I started reading about it and looking into it. I noticed that my family members were mentioned, my my nephews were mentioned in this injunction. talking about family members being like the leader of the gang. Our kids were like second in command should they die. Something you hear out of a Godfather story, you know? Um, and as I started reading it and going through it, I started seeing a lot of inconsistencies in it. A lot of lies, pictures, and stuff like that that weren't of the people they were claiming to be. And knowing, seeing that they had my nephews and my family listed just really like lit the fire in my ass to get more involved. Um, because I knew what they were saying was wrong, and not just my family, but even from the other neighborhoods, people that I knew that it wasn't true. It was like all BS, you know. So I got really involved. Other people from the community started coming out. There was a big Facebook post because somebody had also received a summons from of the injunction, and I remember meeting one day at Echo Park Lake, and there was a lot of people that came from the community, you know, all race, white, Asian. You had everybody that was there trying to figure out how we could help. And
Hey,
I, huh?
Stranger, I'm sorry not to cut you off. I just want to come in right quick and ask you if you can elaborate for the people who don't know what really consists of a official gang injunction and how does it work? Because you know some people can maybe get summoned or get a letter or and don't even pay attention to it and it's like oh whatever. How does that actually work and how does it affect really people like for the people
Okay.
who don't know?
So the city gets together and they start talking about the gangs that are within the district, whatever district you're in, right? So they calculate like the number of gangs that are in the area, the numbers of like robberies, homicides, stuff that goes on, and they try to figure out how they're going to clean the streets up. So it's basically to clean the streets, gentrify the community,
Right.
and get rid of people, right? And that's mainly what it is, to gentrify the areas. So in the injunctions, they put down that if you're hanging around more than five people, you are considered a gang, and you're considered, and those are automatic 10-year gang enhancements.
Mm,
So if you are listed on an injunction because police said they had too much interaction with you and they feel that your neighborhood, not just your name, but your neighborhood, has caused and created so much chaos in your community, and they see you walking with five members of the gang, you are automatically can automatically be arrested and
right.
given the 10 years sentence right off the bat.
Wow. So let me ask you this, stranger, is it like do when they create the gang injunction for the particular neighborhood, yours, Echo Park, do they have names already on the list? Oh, this is that guy, opposed to just saying, oh, like you said, you're walking up the street, you look like a gang member. Oh, you're automatically in a gang injunction, and I may not even be a gang member. Or do they
Yeah.
already have the names?
Yeah, they already have the names. So, like for
Okay.
each neighborhood that they had, they put them. And it's funny because I swear the way I'm saying it is how it was. They put them down as the leaders. So it
Okay.
was my brother, my son's father, and my nephew that were the leaders of the gang. And then my nephews, and my son were the second in command of this gang. So should
Mm,
anything had happened to either of them, to the city and the district attorney, our kids were the ones that were going to take over. I mean,
right.
it what it was like. It was just so unreal when I was reading that. I'm like, we're not even. I mean, my
Right.
neighborhood was big, you know, really big and deep in the 2000s. But it's when this injunction came out in 2014. It was
Right. It wasn't. Yeah.
everybody was
I get
mostly
it.
in jail. Some already had
That that's in
passed.
every, but that's in every neighborhood right now. No matter how deep your hood is, it's not
Yes,
the same as it was.
no. But this is what they do to gentrify areas and get people out of the community to bring in the
Right.
rich. You know, a lot
And,
of
sorry to cut you off one more
okay.
time, but because of an important thing you said at the beginning of the episode is that you actually still live in Echo Park. So you are still there. So that's important too for the people because again, we're talking about neighborhoods, how deep they are. The main factor is that people are moved out and they can't live in their neighborhood. For you
Yeah.
to be there still, um, can you explain too? You've been through gang injunctions and now gentrification. You know what I mean? So how is it now for you still living in your neighborhood in Echo Park, but seeing everything that's changed?
It was hard. I had to learn and adjust how to live with these people instead of them learning
Right.
how to live with me. It was the
Right.
opposite, and they weren't there for most part. Now, a lot of them are down to earth people. They're really cool. Well, in the very beginning, when gentrification started happening here, they were just like the rudest people ever. Like they
Mm.
swore because, and I'm gonna put it out there, they swore because they were white that they
Right.
had those privileges, right? And it was
Right.
what they
You
goes.
like
Like,
this my neighborhood though. This
yeah,
like this my neighborhood. I
yeah,
get it. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, just like that. And sometimes I'd have to catch myself because I'd be like, "You fucking white motherfuckers in my hood! Like, how you telling me
Right.
like, you should be,
Right.
and we're not, and we're not like, how can I say? I mean, I can't speak for all neighborhoods, but I can speak for mine. We're not rude, we're not disrespectful. We know it's our community. We love our community. We respect our people, our neighbors. We don't rob, we don't steal. Any of
Right.
that happens, even to this very day. Like we have a lot of homeless people here, people with mental health, and the homeboys that are still around, they'll kick them out and they'll make them go back down the street. Like, get out of here, go back where you came from. There ain't nothing up here for you. And they leave. Sometimes some of them will put up a fight, but
Right.
you have other neighbors in the area that also agree. So they really appreciate a lot of guys that are out here still.
How is it? Let me ask you this because how is it like you're like for you to still be there, but like I'm sure it's changed a lot, like you said, tremendously. But how is it for like homies or you or family that want to come back and maybe just say we want to throw a big gathering or party just for old time's sake? You know what I mean? How is that received? Being that it's a whole new neighborhood, and how do the homies that used to live there or this is my neighborhood, right, feel about that? Like, you know what I mean? How is that when you want to maybe just throw a big party for the homies?
They still happen. You still got families here that
Okay.
are blessed to own their homes. Either they're grandfathered or they own it, and they got them just like in the right timing before recession hit, and then before
Right.
prices went up. So they still they still have the parties just like they do. They have a lot of these coffee shops at night. They shut it down and they turn them into art galleries, and they're having their
Okay.
parties and they're hanging out. So we don't complain. They don't complain.
Okay. Mutual respect.
Yeah, in the beginning
Right.
it was bad. Like I said, when they first started coming around, they would, pee in your lawn, throw their cups or their beers in the trash. So we were always like getting on people like in the very beginning. But I say that was like the first generation that started coming down. And I remember I was doing Uber. I was driving Uber for Uber, and I would pick people up, and I would stop like at 11 o'clock, especially on the weekends, because I didn't want to deal with the drunk people. And I was like,
Right.
I lost myself. You're gonna get me mad. So
Right.
cut off. But I would always ask them, what possessed you guys to move to Echo Park?
Hmm.
Um, and a lot of them were students. So a lot of the
Hmm.
people who were living in these houses, they were not living in a single family home. There were like maybe five of them, six of them sharing the house because they were
Hmm.
students. But
Right.
they were all
Do,
down
do
to
you
school.
do you think when they list these homes or places where it's been gentrified, where it was previously a whole neighborhood or gang or whatever, how is it? Do you think these people know really where they're moving to, or they just see a listing and just like a new home or nice or whatever, and they move there?
They don't know. They don't know
Okay.
until stuff happens.
Right. Right.
I
I
mean,
thought so.
yeah, the last incident we had here was probably a couple of years back. One of my younger homeboys got killed, and it's rare that it happens, but I got to give it to these people that they came out, and instead of getting scared, they really came out and assisted and tried to keep this young man alive as much as they
Wow.
could, and
Wow.
it really it really fucked with one of them bad. Like she couldn't get over what she actually witnessed, and
Right.
that night that he passed away, she kept walking up and down the street, and she finally stopped where we were hanging out and apologizing and crying, and she's like, I wish I could have saved him. And that was more, I was like, all right, some care,
Right.
they're not all bad. I guess,
Right. Right.
but there is some that are very rude, disrespectful, and you just want to go back in your old ways and teach them a lesson, but you can't. It's hard.
Right. Right. Wow.
Yeah, but I really when that injunction came out, I got involved not knowing what I was getting into and putting my family in. I started to, there was about a good 20 of us that joined our neighborhood council, and that was the only way we were going to be the voice for our community.
Hmm.
Um, and I remember being the first Latina in my neighborhood, having the highest votes ever to be part of my neighborhood council, but to also represent Echo Park. And when they tallied up the votes, I remember walking away, going to the bathroom, and I'm in the bathroom crying, I'm hyperventilating, trying to catch my breath. And um, my son's father comes, knocks on the door, and he's like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, I just opened the door crying. And I was like, I have these people's lives in my hand. What am I
Right.
going to do? Like, I'm clueless. After that happened, I had people from Oakland, San Francisco, Santa Barbara, San Diego that had already faced injunctions and won several cases come down, educate me, and the rest of us that were running for the neighborhood council. I had this amazing white lady, Kim McGill. She used to work with Youth Justice Coalition. She's out from New York. She was out from New York, but had lived in LA for so many years. This lady was, she was an angel. I said she was my white angel. But she
That's
was
right.
on game. Oh my God. She knew, she taught us, she educated us. And because of her, we were able to fight and win this injunction and have it overturned. And a lot of the
Wow.
laws that got passed was because of what she fought for and what she taught us to fight as well. So I
Wow.
really owe, yeah, she's my angel, guardian angel for the community and neighborhood. I always say that.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Are the gang injunctions still a thing now, or that? I mean, I know that was the early 2000s because a lot of neighborhoods all over LA were hit with that. But is
Yeah.
that still a thing, or is that phased out
No, it
at this
phased
point?
out because
Okay.
with the gang injunction, they were able to arrest you because of the enhancements, which is an automatic 10 years, and then gang allegations, which gave you 20 years. So
Hmm.
you were already gonna, if you were listed or you were from the neighborhood not listed, they would serve you with it. Then if you weren't listed a month later, you'd get the following summons with your name on it. So you're
Wow.
already facing 30 years
Right.
automatic just for that injunction.
Right.
And then then when you go to court, they're gonna pull everything that you've been arrested for and stuff like that, and try to find other charges. But no, they haven't. They don't. And you know what the other thing that was mind blowing was that the lady that wrote this injunction had only lived in Echo Park for about 7 years, but she came from Boston.
Oh
So
wow.
about
Wow.
gang styles. But she was a
Right.
grant writer, she was a writer, so she helped LEPD do this summons, create this injunction, and made it sound good. Like a movie. She made it sound like it was a movie. And sometimes I feel like, using that and maybe turning it into a movie.
Right. Right. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, question for those of us who are a little bit more ignorant to the injunction process. You either have to be a known gang member or a family member of a gang member to be included in that injunction.
You didn't have to be known. You could have been just anybody. You could have been a friend. Well, for instance, my son, he's not from my neighborhood. Me and his dad, we stopped that cycle. But they listed him because he associates with them. Even though it's his family, he was still on that summons.
Wow.
So they catch you associating with them and hanging out, and they know that you're not a known gang member, but they see you every time with one or two. You're walking home from school, you're at the burger joint, or whatever it is. You can get summons and so for being around them.
Has anyone, not to cut off, just want to ask what this gang injunction thing is like? Has anyone ever been affected personally by the gang injunction? Like someone they actually charged or said you're being hit with the gang injunction enhancements and they had to do actual, prison time or whatever?
My nephew and my
Hmm.
brother and 8 other of my homeboys from the neighborhood. They tried to, they falsified murder and try to say that because of that injunction, they arrested my brother and 8 other defendants. And my brother was looking at serving 3 life sentences for a crime he didn't commit. And his
Wow.
defendants were also um, going to serve time for a crime they didn't commit when they had the person who was already deceased that committed the crime. But because that injunction, having my brother listed as the leader, is what caused them to arrest them. So my sister-in-law, my parents' retirement, everybody gave up their money to get lawyers for these guys. We also had help with ACLU, who were blessing, and then with Cam McGill, who was working back then with Youth Justice Coalition. We would make big presents at the courtroom to let them know that they were supported by the community and family members, and that we weren't going to let them, go away for the years that they were giving them.
Wow.
You fought through teeth and nails. I've experienced, police beating me up, police at my door, coming to the back of my street, just watching. They would park in front of my house, sit and watch. They would always try to harass the young kids, my son as well, my nephews. It was always a big thing. So I have a name. They call me. The police call me, and this is Northeast Police Station. I always put them out there because I want people to know that they are corrupt. They corrupt. It started with one officer that came out of the 77th district out in South LA, and we found out later that he sued his police station for stuff they were claiming that he was doing. That when he came to LA over here, the Northeast Division, he started to do the same things that he was doing at that station. Yeah, but
That's the crazy thing. They just moved. A lot of these cops get, you know what I mean, infractions or whatever,
yeah,
and they just move them around, move them to a different district or whatever. You know what I mean?
yeah. So they call me. I'm known as the godmother of Echo Park, or the bitch, and I own it very proudly. I'm like, yes, that's who I am. Every time the young kids would get pulled over, or the cops had them hemmed up, I'd get a phone call. I'd go down there, tell the kids get in my car. The cops would get mad because I was intervening in their police investigation. Like, for investigation of what? They're
Right.
walking. What are they doing? So yeah, I earned a reputation with them, and they don't like me to this very day, and I really don't care. I don't have that much interaction with the police now. Times has changed, but the ones that are here now, it's just ironic how they know who I am. I'm not hanging around. I don't, I'm still in the community, but I don't hang around. And somebody was telling me that you go to their station, and I guess in the gang unit division, they have a wall of pictures of who still lives there and who's related to who and how they're related. So that's how these new officers know who we are. I'm like, all
Wow.
right, don't want a taste of me. I'll still advocate, and I'll talk shit to you, and I'll tell you what I feel. And
That's right.
Okay, first and foremost, you were supposed to give her a round of applause for being the first Latina with the highest vote in the city
Hey,
council.
I mean, hey.
Where's that though?
It ain't no thing.
Where's that round of applause at, G-Lew? We ain't.
Yeah.
My question to you. I was watching your Hoodstocks interview,
my,
and you have your Hoodstocks interview
oh,
have an issue with Dodger Stadium. What is that
I
issue?
have a what?
You have an issue with the Dodgers and Dodger Stadium. What is that?
Okay, so I'm sorry, but fuck the Dodgers.
No.
um,
Oh.
I
Oh
don't
my
think
God.
it's easy, but let me tell you,
Oh.
the corporation that runs them, I hate Dodger Stadium, and I'll tell you why. Dodger Stadium was one of their main focus in the gang injunction. Saying they stated that gang members' attire was Dodger wear. So anybody that had an LA hat, had a Dodger T-shirt, anything, you were automatically a gang member because you were wearing that. So we went to Dodger Stadium to try to speak to the representatives. We tried to speak to the owners to see how they could help us, and not even just to back us up, even if it was with money, so that we could pay lawyers to help fight and get them, not just our kids, the youth, but to help fight overturn this injunction. Right? So when we approached Dodger Stadium with it, they wanted nothing to do with it at all. Like they just totally shut the door on us. Said that they didn't care, it didn't matter to them, and since then I boycott. I don't go to a game. I don't support them. I feel that that was such a disrespect, especially that Dodger Stadium is in Echo Park, and they're saying that your clothing is gang attire to our neighborhood and to gangs in general.
Mm.
Um, and the fact that they didn't
Wow.
want to help us. And then just recently, Cinco de Mayo, where there was a big car show with LA Times was hosting at Elysian Park, and it was a big issue. City officials got involved, so did Northeast Police Station, Dodger Stadium. We later found out, well, the day of the event, we were granted to, they were granted to have the show and let it go on, even though there was a Dodger game that same day. Um, we found out that Dodger Stadium had a lot to do with them shutting it down that day. There was people from everywhere. I would say over 500 people that were down here, different cities. Some traveled, some were sleeping overnight, like on the streets, just so that they can get their spots in the morning. We had it
Wow.
mapped out. I mean, they had it so organized that I don't know what feared policing. I don't. But later we found out that it was more Dodger Stadium that had the impact that they didn't want. I don't know. I guess they thought they were going to have money taken away from them if people were to see everybody at the show, the car show, because it was in Elysian Park and Dodger Stadium is just up the street from where the
Right.
car show was going to be. So it got shut down. It got shut down, and later on that day, somebody was posting at Dodger Stadium. They had Big Mexican Heritage Day, and it was like, okay, now we know that they had part of shutting down that car show that was planned for a year. These people had it planned, and you had people come out. So that's where I don't support them. I don't support them because they shut their doors on our face so many times, and it's just that disrespect that you can't. You're in our community. You already took over Dodger Stadium years ago when it was Palo Verdes, Chavez Ravine, and all that, and then here's the gentrification cycle happening again, and you still don't want part of helping the community.
Hey, stranger, how I mean, like, because I didn't even know that, right? But that's a strong statement. But how because obviously it takes people to get involved, right? So how, just like you said, can people get involved to change things? Because as you know, just like you just said, okay, F the Dodgers, that's going under deaf ears because the whole LA they love the Dodgers. I mean, you know that, so that ain't stopping nothing. So how do you get at least the people involved to get them to understand what's going on with where you're coming from so they can help?
When they ask, I'll so like when I throw out comments like this, people will say some they'll have remarks or they'll I always tell people even on Instagram when I'm message me, I'll tell you and I'll direct you. Um, there's an organization. Let me see. I'm trying buried under. I think it's buried under the blue, and they help out the community, but their focus right now is Dodger Stadium and the issues that happened back in the days when Chavez Ravine, Palos Verde was a community. One of the girls that runs this organization is her family member was living there, and she's a big part of this iconic picture where they're showing a lady being dragged out of a house back in
Hmm.
the days. I don't know if you guys ever seen that picture. I'm trying to find it for you, but it's just getting involved in your community and knowing who's helping what and how they're helping. I always tell people to reach out to me, let me know, and I give them resources and I'll give them links to people that are doing stuff within the community so they can get involved. Um, even though I don't do a lot of the footwork no more like I used to, but I'm still in contact with people.
Right. Because just like you said, it's important too. I think that you're saying for people to get involved locally with their community leaders or representatives. Because right now the big thing is Trump and the whole president shit, right? But it's important to get involved in your local in your communities too, right? As well, because that was really counts.
Yeah, you have to do, especially like us that lived there for a long time, right? Okay, and even if these new people come in and they want to help, cool, whatever. But you have to get involved when stuff's being changed, when um, communities are being divided, people are being divided. You have to really get involved and try to stop it. Money talks, yes, it does. We've learned that the hard way. You have these big developers that come in, that try to make changes and stuff. But if you attend your neighborhood council meetings, your voice does matter. The more
Right.
votes you get, it matters. And like the same thing you said about with the presidency, our voice matters. I used to be like very negative and, oh, why am I going to vote? My vote ain't going to count. White person's going to win anyways, right? Like,
Right.
or the one that we don't want is going to win, so it doesn't matter. And that's how I feel with this presidency. Like the day Trump got shot, I was like, oh, that's it, he won.
Yeah,
I do got
right.
his votes. I'm like,
Right.
just like, but not just presidency. You don't have to vote for him, but vote for the laws. Learn the laws. Get your book and read. Look up on it, see what they are. That's where the changes come. That's where all the changes come. Learn the laws, read them, figure out which ones to pass, which ones not to pass, um, and which ones feel right by you. So the organization here in LA that I was talking about is called Buried Under the Blue. And they Palo Verde, La Loma, and Bishop was the community that Dodger Stadium used to be before Dodger Stadium was built. And that was the first gentrification that happened here in Echo Park years ago, years ago. And then when it happened in 2014, 15, people, you had these big companies, developers, they were just big developers with money that were buying these old fashioned style houses, tearing them down, and building shoeboxes. That's what I call them because that's what they look like, a shoebox
Right.
turned upside down. But yeah, get involved in your community as much as you can. It is time consuming. It don't get me wrong, it's a headache. But if the more people that come out, more numbers, it does make an impact. It really does. And I say that from personal experience. I learned it the hard way. I really, really fought and had a fight, sweat and tears, like I said, being beat up by LAPD and being harassed,
Right.
and my being harassed. It's just been crazy, but we managed. We managed. We won that injunction. We had it overturned. It was a blessing. A lot of these lifers were able to get out of prison as well because of the injunction being overturned. Those sentences were gone. There was no more 10 years, 30 years for those enhancements or allegations. And that was just a big blessing.
How was it for one more thing? I'm sorry, I know Deandra wants to get in here, but one more thing. How is it for the homies coming home like that's been locked up for years, right? And they come home to a whole new community and like different, you know what I mean? And how was that? You know what I mean? Because everyone has to adjust, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's crazy. It's sad too to see them come home to a neighborhood that used to be theirs, and places that were there are no longer there. Um,
Right.
Seeing all these like cafe shops and stuff like that. I have a really good person in my life right now that came out after serving 32 years,
Mm,
and um, his last residency was in Oceanside, so he got sent back to San Diego.
right.
And we visit um, parts of Compton that he grew up in when he came out. A couple of weeks ago, we went, and it was heartbreaking to see like the watery eyes, and like just how things changed. The Compton swap meet that was there, there's now a Walmart, no longer a Compton.
Walmart.
You
Yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah.
so it
That's
was a
crazy.
trip for him.
That's crazy.
He wanted to go to a pizza place where his mom used to take him when he was him and his siblings when they were little, and surprisingly, that pizza place was still there. I can't remember the name, but it
Okay.
wasn't too far from the swap meet, and just sitting in there, and it was bringing him back memories because he had it the last time he was there was like 17 years old, maybe 16.
Right.
So
Wow.
but it's sad to see their reaction because you can see that they're fighting back tears. You can see the pain, um, and you sometimes you can see that child in them, that they're because they're still at that age. They
Right.
might be 50, 60 years old when they
Right.
come
Right.
out. Mentality wise, they're still 16 years old.
That's a fact. Yeah, because that's what they left. You know what I mean? That's what they remember.
Yeah. And they're not offered the programs that they used to have when they were. I really feel that any of these lifers that come out, male, female, I really think that they should be automatic set up with therapy the moment they come out. Like,
Mm.
go, have them sign up have them set up with a psychiatrist and a therapist. It's I know some people don't, agree, or some people don't understand therapy and how it works, or you're telling your problems. It's not telling your problems. It's you sometimes we get embarrassed to talk to even just our family members or loved ones, but talking to somebody that can help you understand and try to understand what you're going through, what these feelings are, and how you could work through them, I think can really help a lot of these men and women that come out of prison.
Dope.
Yeah, and I learned that from personal experience. I've been going through mental health for about a year, so I
You
really appreciate therapy.
So you would encourage. I'm sorry, Dan. Well, you encourage. So because I know that's a thing, right? With people are
Stigma,
kind of split, right,
yeah.
in between there, because we hear it now more and like it's becoming more of a thing. But you got still, especially homies that are gonna be like, nah, you know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna sit up here and talk to someone, a stranger, about my problems. But I keep hearing a lot of great things about it. Me personally, I haven't done it, but I hear a lot of great things. So you would encourage that.
I do. I've been going through mental health issues for about a year, and not because I at first I thought I was crazy, like fuck, how did I lose it? How did I snap? How did I but it was more because of my values and my respects, the respect that I expect from people. And
Right.
that's because this is what I've learned growing up in my neighborhood. Growing up with older homeboys around, we were taught Chico's Pizza. Oh, he just answered. That was a
Yeah, he
pizza.
said Chico's. There it is.
But
Much love, Mike.
we my God, it's just I I snapped one day at a supervisor at work because he was making me feel belittled. He was talking to me like I was a child. Um, like, I felt like I was a 5-year old kid being scolded like this, and um, we were having issues already from the beginning, and I just put it to an end and I excused myself from the situation. And I said, if I don't leave, I'm going to get this laptop and sock you upside the fucking head with it.
Mm,
And I don't know where that came from, that I didn't do it, because that was my reaction. That's all I knew growing up. Okay, you don't
right,
like me, fuck you, fight, get it over with, right? You don't like me, what do you want to do about it? Right, get it over with. And that was
right,
my mentality throughout, my whole upbringing. Even when I was an adult, I would, in my 20s, I was so hot headed and I was always talking shit to people who cut me off or whatever, right? Just so much anger, not knowing where it all came from. And when we finally, like, being already going through 3 PHP programs, and these are like intense programs that that you do, and finding out that people that didn't respect my values or didn't have the same values as I did growing up was a trigger for me, and I couldn't handle it. I
mm,
expected too much from people, but then this is where common sense comes in, because I figured we're adults. Everybody should have common sense, from
right,
right from wrong, right? You should know what's right. You know what's wrong. I'm sure your parents, you had to mind your parents as a child, so you know that you had to be respectful.
right.
I expected that from a lot of people, and I till this day. But I learned to accept it. I learned to accept that I can't change nobody, other than myself. And sometimes it gets hard. I have my moments where somebody triggers me and I'll have a moment, and I just got to learn to turn the other way. But I give an update on my social media as well. Every month since I started, I've talked about it, expressed what I was going through. And I tell people that it's not, don't be embarrassed. It's not embarrassed to do this to go to program. It's a way to vent where we can't vent to others. And I found it very helpful for me in my with my breakdown and what I had, and the way that they explain what, why, and how it happens is, it just blew me away to know that my upbringing was my cause to my mental breakdown. And since I put it out there, people talk to me all the time they message me, and I answer every one of my messages on DM. Everyone. I have a really big following, but I get so much people that come to me and ask me, or tell me thank you for putting it out there. I appreciate it. We can't talk to our family members about this. It's embarrassing. They don't listen, and that happened to me. My parents didn't. My family, you were like, you have what? You're going through what? They didn't. And I just said, all I expect is for you guys just to pick up when I call, pick up that phone. That's all. Pick up that phone because that means I need you.
Mm.
What do you recommend? Because we know in the community that we all grew up in, it's very hard to find someone, as you stated, to talk to. What do you recommend for someone that was part of that lifestyle, that is a part of that lifestyle, that has that mentality of, I don't want to talk about what I'm going through? What do you recommend for them that are not really into therapy or afraid of therapy?
If they can give themselves a lot of positive self talk, I feel that really helps. I know it's hard to stop and think before you react and do something, but you you get a sense that something's wrong, and that's how my body was giving me signs. It could have been anywhere from like the headaches, I can't sleep at night, tossing and turning, staying awake all night. um, I knew something was wrong, and I went on Instagram or I went on YouTube and just started looking up mindful meditations or positive like self talks, and then I would not self diagnose, but I would look up diagnosis or things that I was feeling to try to get me to understand. Um, I don't think it was helpful, and maybe not helpful for everybody, depend on the case, like the severity of their case. But I, I mean, talking to somebody is the best thing you can always do. For those of you guys that are on here on YouTube, don't be afraid. I don't care if it's a homie, if they're making fun of you or whatever. Just somebody that you can trust, really, really trust, that you feel comfortable telling, I feel something's wrong. Or and don't be afraid. Message me, Vero Echo Park on Instagram. If you're feeling that way and you can't talk to somebody, send me a DM, and because I've been there. I'm still going through it, but I really, really recommend talking to somebody, a friend, a close friend, somebody that you can trust.
How,
Sometimes,
Veronica, let me ask you this: how does one, and I'm speaking for like homies when I speak now, like how does one even know? Because like you said, you were experiencing mental health and all these things. How does one even know? Okay, that's what the issue is, because we're made to just deal with everything, like swallow it, or like we ain't complaining, we ain't doing none of that. So it's like, how does one even know that, okay, I'm dealing with mental health issues? Is it like PTSD? Is it like, how does one even know, okay, I have this problem, okay, maybe I need to talk to someone, when
yeah,
we don't do that anyway?
yeah. The signs, like I said, you start feeling vulnerable. You start feeling very emotional for whatever reason. And trust me, vulnerable and emotional were the first things that was happening to me. I would get very sensitive, and I'd get teary eyed, or I'd get angry, like a ball of anger that I don't know where it's coming from. Your heart starts racing, the headaches start coming. You start, for me, because I was losing lack of sleep, I wouldn't sleep. I was, getting delusional, and I and that's those were all signs. I knew something was going on. At the time, I didn't know it was signs of mental health until I got diagnosed.
Mm,
The day that I left my job, I couldn't stop my heart rate race from like slowing down, and it was just pumping and pumping and pumping, and I felt like my heart was gonna pop out of my chest. And
mm,
my son's father, I called, and he's like, "Go to the emergency." And I went to the emergency. They couldn't bring my blood pressure down, um, and finally, and then I'm explaining to them what I'm feeling, right? And the doctors know, they know because of the symptoms. What like I said, the racy heart, the headaches, even sweating, the emotional feelings of the crying. When a couple hours later, they put me on the phone on a telehealth phone with a psychiatrist, and when I seen that, I started to panic and freak out, like. And he comes on, and the first thing that came out of my mouth was like, "Am I crazy? Like, what
mm,
did I really did I really fry my fucking brain and just go crazy?" And he's like, "No." He's like, "Don't ever say that." He goes, "It happens. You had a meltdown. It happens, and we're going to be here to help you. Um, and I thought the same thing. What does a doctor know, right? It's my brain. It's my brain that's overwired. It's my brain that that took it, and now just trying to control it. And you know what? A lot of it was too because I didn't react how I could have and I used to act. With anger, a fist, beat you up, fuck you, there, we get it over with, right? Um, that's what made me break because I didn't
Mm.
react that way, and it
Sorry.
was the best decision.
Can you elaborate on that more? Because that is something that a lot of believe me when I tell you you're preaching to the choir. When you're not able to react the way you normally react to disrespect, to being hurt, when you can't punch a motherfucker in his face because or her face because they hurt you to the point of no return, and you have to restrict yourself. A lot of people do not understand that that will cause a mental issue because you feel weak inside because you did not defend yourself in
Yeah,
the way that you are accustomed. So if that will cause a mental issue. Can
and
you
that's
elaborate on that a little bit more?
yeah, that's how I felt. So we were already having issues at work, and I was pushing it off, right? Like, okay, he complained one, okay, he complained twice. Then like a whole month went on, and it's like he's still complaining over something that I didn't do. I kept checking my work, and I'm like, okay, there's nothing wrong. I don't know what you're seeing. So every time I would address, right, he was always being very condescending and stuff. But all that was building up and building up because I couldn't react how I wanted to. The first thing that was in my head is like, if I do this, I'm gonna lose my job. I was already in my mid 40s. I'm like, I cannot afford to find another job right now. I can't lose this job. I need it. So I had to shut up. I didn't want to cause and create a problem as much as I really wanted to. But because I held all that in, the day that we had a meeting, I did my meeting through Zoom because I didn't want to face him. Not because I was scared. I was scared of what my reaction was going to be.
Anxious.
And when he asked, they even asked like, "Well, why are you doing a Zoom meeting?" I told him because I don't want to see him. I don't know how I'm going to react, so I'd rather keep my distance. And when he was still being very condescending on the through the Zoom meeting and trying to scold me, and um, the last words to him were, "If you," because I told him that I was going to excuse myself in the meeting. He's like, "If you leave this meeting, I'm going to write you up for insubordination of your job." I stood up and I remember taking a deep breath and I was like, I'm gonna excuse myself because if I don't, I'm gonna get this laptop and I want to just walk you upside the head with it. Shut it down. I called HR right away. I'm like bawling, crying, couldn't catch my breath. And it wasn't crying out of sadness, it was anger because I really wanted to fucking hurt somebody and I wanted to hurt him. So I left and ended up in the emergency. And it's been a year and some months now that I've been going through a program, and it was all because my values and were disrespected, and they weren't valuing what I had to say. They weren't valuing me as a person. I was being treated, like I was nothing, and I couldn't stand it. I couldn't, especially because it was a young kid too. He was younger than me. I think in his mid 30s, and that was just like, oh, you little motherfucker, let me catch you on the street. That's all I was like. Let me catch you on the street. But it was the best thing that ever happened to me because now that I just turned 50, and don't get me wrong, that anger's still in there sometimes, and it comes out. Today I was having a moment. I didn't go to group. I didn't want to go to my group. I just wanted to stay in bed all day, and I don't know um, why I was having the moments, but I just either put myself to sleep or I try to do things to redirect my thoughts. Um, Running my feet under cold water, taking a cold shower, really like snaps me out of the situations. But if you don't recognize a lot of the signs, or just in general, I can't say this because not everybody knows. Nobody knows what the signs are, right? But for me, those are my signs: the headaches, the racy heart, the my blood pumping, boiling, feeling angry, feeling sad, crying. Usually, those are the basics of what people experience. Um, But you as a person, you know your body and you know when something's wrong. And that's a time to say, like, I gotta go see a doctor.
One thing that I'm not sure how much experience you've had, or maybe family members or friends or like homies, obviously where there's gangs, there's drugs. Now, I know that drugs and mental health a lot of times go hand in hand.
That what?
Drugs and mental health. A lot of times, what people do not know is certain drugs that you consume will trigger those mental health issues. The same things you're talking about, the crying, the depression, the suicidal thoughts, those certain drugs can trigger.
Definitely, 100%. If you're a
So,
user, it's even harder
yeah,
because you don't know if it's the addiction that you're feeling, the need to want to get high. You don't have it. You don't. It's hard to determine, you know, what's really going on in that moment. A lot of people that do use end up with mental health issues because of the number of years that they've been using. And like you said, certain drugs have a big meth, especially has a big part of causing schizophrenia. Um, it's just a lot of things that it could trigger, and could and then brings out in you that you don't even know. This is my 49 years old when this happened to me. I never had any issues with mental health. I never had anything happen to me until I got triggered. And I remember sitting in my first class. I would sit there and just listen to everybody's story, and everybody that was in group had issues since they were kids because a lot of it was family related. They were going through stuff. Some of them because these rich kids were just spoiled, and when mommy and daddy said no, it was like, oh, what do you mean no? But listening to a lot of these the younger generation going through what they went through as a child, as a preteen, it was very it was sad but heartfelt. I would sit there and tell myself, fuck, you're here because you couldn't take somebody respecting your values. But a lot of these people here had severe trauma, whether it was a rape, molestation, neglect, abuse. Um, so it made me, I think that also helped me to make me appreciate um, the fact that I spoke up and put myself in a program because a lot of these people had went through worse than what I was sitting there crying about. But I really respect people that have mental health issues. I see it in a whole different frame of light.
well, thank you again for sharing your story. That's really great, number one. Number two, I'm sure there's a lot of people in the chat that you're helping out with telling your story.
Yeah, I get that those messages a lot through the Instagram when I try to do once a month updates and stuff like that. So it really inspires. I love to see the messages, and it inspires. And I share what I've done to help myself. And I always tell people what I've done may not help you, but the ocean, the beach, the water has been my therapy. Cold water, especially. You see me throughout the day. I'm drinking, and all it is a cup full of ice with water, and just the sensation of the water going down, inside. I can feel that coolness, and it helps regulate me and just keeps me, alert and aware. So yeah, I just it's different, like I said, for everybody else. So
For anybody who wants to join you with your community work, how can they be a part of that?
anybody that wants to what?
Who wants to join with the community work that you're doing, how can they reach out to you to be a part of that?
Message me on Instagram at Vero Echo Park. If you're not in the Echo Park area, and you want to do something in your community, get involved with your neighborhood council. The library usually has a posting of when the neighborhood council meetings are. Attend them. Go see what they're presenting. What And then get involved with getting to know people in the community. That's the first start to get. Sometimes there's agencies too within your community that help out either at-risk youth kids or whatever it is that you're trying to do with from helping the youth, the adults, or just to save the community as well. Um, the libraries usually have a lot of posted, but you can also call 211 and ask 211 for agencies within your community that you just let them know that you want to get involved and try to help the community save it, and they'll give you a listing of agencies that you can get involved with.
So let's switch gears a little bit. Let us talk about your career as an actress and how you got started with the movie Maybe La Loca, and you've done a few other roles after, right?
Yeah, yeah. So being a young girl in the neighborhood, the director also lived in Echo Park, and she would walk up and down the street. She got to know us. Her kids actually went to school here too as well, and it was she introduced herself as a um, producer, and would talk to the girls, whoever she would see, and tell about her story of wanting to do this movie about girls in gangs. When she approached us, we were like, okay, cool, but we were pretty skeptical because we're like, wait a minute, white lady, and you want to do a movie on us Latinas, and and then you want everybody to be involved. And at that time, we're thinking, man, is she a big movie producer? What is she? Maybe she have money. We don't know. So or then of course the first thing that came to our mind too was like, is she a cop?
Mm.
You're gonna get information from us, and then you're gonna share it with the police station, and so there was a lot of things that came through our mind. But the more she started to come around and get to know us, we got to get to know her. She's a very humble, sweet lady. Allison Anders and her daughters are just sweethearts, and they grew with us. They grew on us just like we grew on them. And she came probably about 6 months later. I was about 16, 15, 16. She came with this script of the movie, and we're like, oh, she was real. She really was talking, real. And she gave us a script and told us to overlook it, let us know what we think. Um, and we did. We told her that, there was a lot of things in there that we didn't like, wordings, things that we didn't say, kind of seemed too fake. And she opened that platform for us and gave us the opportunity to help her make changes in her in direct, while she was directing the movie. So we would do readings with her, and we would change and correct stuff with her, things that we didn't say. We take her shopping to where we go buy our clothes. She observed us getting dressed, combing our hair, putting our makeup on, and I think that's why that movie was so authentic, because she captured the authenticity of us, real homegirls. So when the opportunity came, we found out we're going to get paid. Now it was, can you tell the homeboys to come out in it as extras, or can you tell them? And that was the harder part because the guys were more um, cautious than the girls were. They were like, we don't know. I think about it. Then when we told them they're going to get paid, then it was like, okay, we'll do it. We'll come out in it. I think that was the best year. 93, 94 was like the best year ever. Filming that movie was so fun. But it was us in our elements. So just hanging out and then being around these actors, meeting them for the very first time, we were just as scared as they were to meet us. Um, but it was such a fun opportunity, and a blessing, that she picked us to be in her movie, and to know that it has grown within so many families, and all these families from different generations just love it, and love to see us even when we come out to do shows. I didn't start doing meet and greets till maybe about 9 or 10 years ago. I surprised Angel Sad Girl one day at one of her events that she was doing, and I remember sitting back watching everybody interacting with her, and these young kids, adults were crying just to meet her. And um, at the end of the event, she was telling me, "We got to do something. The fan base is out there. Let's do something." And we would travel. We would do meet and greets. We would go to different cities, different areas. And unfortunately, when COVID came, all that stopped. Colorado was the last place that we traveled before her and Mousy, used to come out with us a lot. And then I started my business around that time, and I continued to keep it growing. Um, and I was going out there and keeping the movie alive, the name alive, and I would bring Baby Doll and Shadow with me. To this day, I still do, and we have Panchito Gomez that comes on board with us, and um, it's just been a fun experience to where it's at now. What we've grown, had it grown to be, and how it's blossomed, and to see just the amazing people that come out to want to meet us and see us. And because of that movie, I was also offered three other movies. So, um, The Real Mr. Homicide is a young kid, an amazing kid with amazing talent that has all in his mind, like it's all in his head, his vision of how he wants his movie. And it's called A Higher Power. He cast me as I was one of his first to get cast in his movie. And I had to think about it for a minute because I was like, oh, young kid, what do you know about filming, directing? I didn't really know much of him, but he was an extra. He comes out in different movies himself, and he has family member that was also an American Me, and so he was already in the game and he had knowledge. And when he told me his idea, I had to think about it, and then I said yes. I said yes to him, and after I said yes, he's had like an amazing turnout of people that are coming out in his movie, different from people that were also like in Blood Out, American Me, Scarface. He has some actors from Colors, so he really got a really good group of people to do this first movie for him. I think by next year it should be out. In between that time, I got introduced to Miguel Garcia, who is another director, young director, that created a short film called Jumped In, and
Mm.
came out on that movie. And it's out on Prime right now to rent. So you guys go support these young producers. It's $19 for the movie. It's on Prime called Jumped In. And I played a Chola goth tattoo artist, and that helps one of the young homeboys that's trying to get away from what he caused and created in the neighborhood. So yeah, and then I have
What years does this movie take place? The Jumped In movie.
it's
The
I think
present.
current present, yeah, because he had
Okay.
yeah, it's present. Doesn't go the higher power, kind of like in the 2000 maybe scenes, like era, but this the jumped in was just, it was a cool opportunity to work with the amazing cast. I had Danny De La Paz in it, then also Daniel, who played Little Puppet, is also in it as well. So
Wow.
yeah, it's pretty cool story, a really pretty cool story. um, and I just got Angel Ray. She's such a sweetheart. She is a producer for a movie called Sam's Cry. She just cast me in her new movie, Hill Street Heist, and that starts filming next year. We start filming on that. So I'm
Wow.
pretty excited to have these little
Impressive.
opportunities.
Impressive.
Yeah,
Impressive.
Yeah, those are a great group of producers. Homicide is very, very, he's driven.
yeah.
He's very driven.
And he
And
rap.
then very determined as well. They're great people. Now I'm not. I don't think very many people pay attention to this, but to be a part where you're celebrating 30 years of this movie. So how does it feel to you to be celebrating 30 years of a movie about women from the street life? Because they have Boulevard Nights, American Me, Blood In, Blood Out, that focuses on the guys. And Mi Vida Loca focuses more on the female perspective of this. How does that make you feel to be a part of history in that way?
It's a good feeling. It's a good feeling because I remember when the movie came out, a lot of people thought, oh, another gang movie, but not realizing what the story plot was two homegirls that fell in love with the same guy, had a baby with the same guy, and it happens in neighborhoods. No matter, people won't want to deny it, but it does. It happens. To see to hear and see people say that that happened to me. Oh my God, this movie just did so much for me because either it helped them heal, it helped them become friends with their best friend that they fell out with again, and just to and then also to understand that it's life and it's things that we go through. But it's such an amazing feeling to see, to know that this movie was based on women, and how she focused the story on women and issues that real women go through, because it wasn't out there. It was mostly, like you said, the guys um, facing prison time, going away, leaving the women behind with their kids. But the focus wasn't so much on that. It was more like the guys being in jail, doing their time, how they were surviving, stuff like that, or dying. They were dying, but they really didn't put the story on what happened to the women after. With the director here at Allison, she puts the story and the focus on the women and how we, suffer when they go to jail, how we suffer when they die. We're left to raise the kids, and we're left to deal with, the bills and the heartache and the pain and having to explain to the kids. So I think that's another reason why this movie is such a big story within communities, because a lot
Yes.
of young girls can resonate to what she wrote. It's happened, and it happens to them. So it's a
Yeah.
really good feeling to know that part of that, and it's helped people.
And this movie being that, like, to piggyback off what Deandra said, it was for the women, right? And as you said, but this movie was still so powerful that it resonated with the homies, with the dudes too. Like, this was still a favorite, you know what I mean? Like, this is the top, one of the top, movies like that. Like, that resonates, you know what I mean, with men too, you know what I mean? So I think that was great how they, were able to represent for the women, but it still resonated with the men, you know what I mean? Because it was
Yeah.
their story too.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. We didn't and it could have been, their story, because yeah, they showed how they survived by, yeah, selling drugs. They survived by, how, okay, they had these meetings in neighborhoods, and they showed like how you get jumped in, to a neighborhood. Like things that people don't see and know unless you are there and you experienced it.
Right.
Um then, they get to see what's going on, or know what's going on. But yeah, it really captured. And in that one scene with the guys where they're jumping in, I think they jump in Ernesto, a little sleepy, one of them. That's an actual hangout spot of ours, and well, back in the days, and
Right.
still there to this very day. So
Wow.
I think what I take more from this movie is everything that Echo Park was back then that's not here now. I get to
Right.
see loved ones that are in the movie that are no longer here. My nephew, that plays Big Sleepy's son, um, he's no longer here, and I get to see him as a child. Hear his
Wow.
voice.
Right.
Mom and pop stores that are not here no more as well, and just to see that just takes me back. Like, man,
What,
that was
what well, that's the good part about that movie, right? It gives you your history, and it's always going to be there. You know what I
yeah,
mean? So you can just reflect on that. That's a beautiful, that's beautiful actually. Um, um, one more thing with the whole movie and everything. Everything that transpired in there, like you said, everything has changed now. But do the youngsters or the people that are still of the community, or youngsters that are like, do they get the history and get to, you know what I mean, know what Echo Park once was?
yeah, they do, they do. You got a few older homeboys that are there that definitely they get schooled on what the community was, what we stand for, what we value. And don't get me wrong, you got some that will deviate from it and try to want to make a name for themselves. And
Right, make their own history.
yeah, but they get checked. They'll get checked, and be like, "That's not us. That ain't what we do."
Right.
But they do know. They do know the history of the neighborhood. A lot of them too had family members that were from Echo Park, or their uncles, or somebody somehow that were related. So they grew up hearing about it, and now they lived here. They're old. They're a little bit older, and they're from the neighborhood, or they
Right.
just hang around. Some of them are my homeboys' kids that are not from the neighborhood, but they still hang around either
Right.
way. Um, but they get the history. I always tell people,
Mm,
for those that don't know, Echo Park
thank you.
is a is old Hollywood. Echo Park,
Mm.
Old Hollywood. So you have Charlie Chaplin's mansion that's still here. The Little
Wow.
Rascals, filming was here. So all the little like go kart scenes, the park scenes, that was all filmed throughout Elysian Park. Gilligan Island, the island was also filmed here in Echo Park, and you had a lot of
Wow.
movie stars that were living here at the time. Yeah,
Wow. I didn't know that about Gilligan's Island. That was my favorite show.
I tell it,
Wow.
they get blown away. They're like, "What? Are you serious?" Like, yeah.
Wow.
And like I said, you still got Charlie Chaplin's mansion. It's up here on Glendale Boulevard.
Oh, that I want to see.
Yeah. Danny De La Paz used to live here too. There, Regina. Oh, was her actress Regina something? Um, she lived here too as well. We used to see her jogging up and down Echo Park Avenue. But there was a lot of actors and actresses that lived here.
Wow.
So that's history.
Real history. Real
Yeah.
history.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you,
To know
Jen.
that you are a part of that is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it got my history. So yeah, definitely.
And you're still there.
And I'm
That's
still here.
beautiful.
Yes, by the grace of God, I'm still here. I can afford it, and I just, Dodger Stadium was my backyard, and every time I got to look out my balcony, like, Dodgers.
Right.
I
Right.
fight with the traffic.
Right.
There's
He,
your acting skills and jumped in, Vero.
yeah, that's her. That's her. He said, "Is this the homegirl that was in the movie Jumped In?" That's her.
Yes, it is.
What up, Cholo Truckers? What up, Big Dev? Man, a lot of people showing love. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you guys. Thank you.
That's her. That's her.
You get the real. I did another podcast um on Saturday, and amazing, such a sweetheart, Bree. She's such a sweet. She modeled for you, I believe, on
Oh,
Sunday.
Becky.
Becky, yes, thank you, Becky. And the first thing she tells me, like, do we leave anything out? Do we this? Do we that? I was like, nope. I says that's what makes my podcast. That's what makes them going, because I keep it real. I'm not afraid
Right.
to say anything. I'm not afraid to call people out on their shit. Like, no,
Right.
keep it real as much.
Keep
as
it
you want.
real. Keep it real.
You want to
That
know
part.
facts and truth? I'm going to tell you facts and truth. And I don't have to. I even told her on her podcast, like, I don't claim to be a badass. No, I'm not. I don't. But I'm not going to let you disrespect me, and I'm not going to. I will stand up. I used to fight with guys, not thinking that I was a badass, but it was protecting myself, because it was
Right.
like, not too long ago. I was probably, I would say, maybe 4 years ago. I got in a fight with some girl. Her man got pressed because I guess I had her on the ground. He came, attacked me, and here I am fighting with him. Came home with a
Wow.
black guy, but I fought with, I'm like, I'm
Right.
not gonna let you come hit me, but I'm
Right.
gonna protect myself, and that's just, and I always let people know, like, I don't go out there thinking, "Moo, I'm Vero, I'm stranger Echo Park," blah, blah, that's not me. I'm fun, I'm loving, I'm humble. I'll talk to you. I'll go out. I just like to have a good time. I like to just be me, but don't cross me and don't undermine me, because I'm not gonna. I will back myself up.
Right.
I might
That's
get
big
mad.
stranger. That's big stranger right there. Don't get it
That's
twisted,
what I
homie.
said, that you said 4 years ago, Vero. We didn't hear that part.
They didn't hear that. Okay, you didn't hear that part, but it happened.
So, but definitely, is Michael the boo that we've met before?
Yeah.
Oh,
He modeled for the classics.
you have a beautiful love story with that. Yes. Let's elaborate a little bit on that love story. Before
That goes back from 88, 89. Yeah.
He's such an amazing guy, but we definitely want to have him on. We prepared Michael because this is always a therapy session for some reason. People love
What up,
to let
Mike?
it out here.
Right. I think he's ready though. He's ready. He said he's ready.
Yeah.
But how can anybody find you on social media platforms for anything coming up, your community stuff, or any upcoming roles that you may have?
You can how they can find me?
Mhm.
Oh, you can find me on my Instagram. I'm at Vero Echo Park. I also have another one, another Instagram at Mi Vida Loca brand, but I'm more active on my Vero Echo Park. You guys don't get offended by my page. That's my fun page. That's my page where I can cuss you out, have fun, look stupid, whatever it is. But
He's grown, Veronica.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So I get more of my messages on that one. The other one's my business page where I keep my pictures of my brand, my models, and stuff like that from that page. But
Oh,
Veronica Park on
speaking of
Instagram is how you can reach me.
that, your merch. How can they purchase it?
My merchandise, you can find me on Etsy at Mi Vida Loca brand. Right now, I have it shut down because this month of August, I have so many shows going on. I have one tomorrow, and then I got one this weekend in San Diego. San Diego has also been another big. They've been like my bigger supporters out there too. Like they just love that movie. And I love being out there in San Diego because they have that old vibe still that reminds me of Echo Park back in the days. They still have that strong culture. Even some places that have been gentrified, but they still have that strong culture out there that just keeps, and it reminds me of growing up when I was in Echo Park. But yeah, you follow that Echo Park page, you'll see a lot of the events that I go to. Tomorrow I'm doing one in, like I said, North Hollywood, and it's with the gay community that has opened doors for me that I really, really appreciate, and I appreciate them as human beings because I've never thought that I would be selling merchandise to that community at all. I didn't think that they'd even want anything to do with my.
They spend the most money on. That's
Oh,
what I heard. That's what I heard. That's
they
what I
do.
heard.
Yes, they.
Yeah.
I didn't think that and this is because my naive thinking, not doing my homework, but I wouldn't have thought that they'd like that '90s vibe, that cholo eccentric wear. Like I didn't think it was something for them. And I did one show out in Pomona, and it blew me away just to see that the support that I had from the community. So they invited me to a second event tomorrow that I'm gonna go do, and I really I love the doors that it's opened for me. Definitely.
Hey, speaking of those vibes, how do you feel about the youngsters and the people kind of bringing back the look and all that? You know what I mean? Not that it ever went, but the youngsters don't dress like so. Not that it ever went anywhere, but for the
Yeah.
youngsters, because it's all the skinny jeans. I'm sure you've seen all that transition. How does it feel to see these youngsters bringing back the original, culture?
I have mixed feelings about that. So I did a video with my photographer Chino Los Angeles and a good friend of mine's Beyond the Boulevard. And we did a video a couple years back talking about this generation bringing back that culture. Um, and I like and I don't like it. Um,
Hmm.
the the dislike was because you were dressing very hardcore and going out to I used to go to these underground, there were like warehouse parties like in South LA, East LA, different area, right? Different
Right.
areas that find these events to be hosted. And they were all ages events, and we used to go because a friend ex friend of mine's, her she had teenagers and she wanted to take them out. So when we'd go and we'd be in these areas, it would get me nervous because I see these young kids coming in banged out, looking the way they looked, and
You
I
don't
know,
know who's who.
yeah, yeah.
Who's the
And let me
real?
tell you, somebody, if you're drunk, high, you're in their neighborhood, you look at them wrong,
Right.
you
Right.
disrespect them, they're gonna, say something to you. So that was my issue, my concern when we did this
Right.
video, and we talked about it, how I didn't care for it. Um, then you started to see FB County, one of the ones that are bringing back that
Right. Right.
style, right?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
hiring these models and these young kids that are not about the lifestyle. Now, don't get me wrong; they might know of it because of their family, but I was even I think who was it? Was it Kat Von D that has a Mi Vida Loca? She had a Mi Vida Loca, I think, palette of makeup. Gwen Stefani that she comes out in one of her videos where she's like gangstered out, right? And I'm just like, okay, what do they know? They don't know.
Right.
And
Right.
things like that used to piss me off. The same way when I
Right.
would see these young kids dressing and but then as I started getting more out there and doing my shows, I started to see that it was more they would dress like this more at these shows and lowrider events. But the house party I mean those underground party ones that I would go to, that's where the dislike came from because these kids didn't know what
Right.
trouble to get themselves into
Right. Right.
dressing that way. Was it an insult for me? I took it as an insult because that was my upbringing. We dressed that with our Cortezes, our Levi's, a white T-shirt because back then it was cheap. They
Right,
weren't
right,
$90 back then the
right,
way they
right,
are
right,
now.
right, right.
That was no
Facts,
cheap for us.
facts,
Um,
facts,
so it
facts.
was
And not only that, when you dress like that, you knew what came with it too. So it
yes.
wasn't like you could play around with that.
Nope. You had the harassment from police. You were the target for your enemy neighborhood. You were just a target.
Target period. Yeah.
Target period. So it really it bothers me when it comes to that aspect of it. When you're at a show and you're there to be the entertainment or to show off your look. Okay, cool. I I just say okay, cool, and I bite
Right.
my tongue with it. But
Right.
it's cool that the culture is coming back, and for a lot of the new generation now, it's a trend and a fashion for them. For us, it was my lifestyle, and that's where I do kind of get bothered because I went through hell and back just wearing them shoes.
Hey, do you think something can become of like, and this is just me throwing this out there, where maybe some people could come in and maybe like OGs, real people that live that life and teach, like maybe like how they have damn classes for everything now. Have a class or something where homies come in and teach them what that means and what they're doing when they wear that, and all, just to give them history and culture, and maybe they'll respect it more.
Yeah, well, it's funny you mentioned that. My so I do coaching classes with a very different friend of mine's, Sparkles, and she helps teach um, entrepreneurs how to continue to run their business and how to enhance it and how to grow it. And she keeps encouraging me to do a Chicano studies and write about it and talk about the culture and what it's meant to me. And not just everything in general, the way I lived, our clothing, what we went through, so that we could educate the up and coming
Right.
kids of what that style meant to us, and just keeping it real. And I think about it a lot. I told her that I want to get started doing it, and talk about it, but it would have to really be um, cutthroat, like for these people to understand,
Right.
because I'm speaking of my life. I'm talking about the troubles that I went through, and not just us, but especially the men. You men were the main targets. Women back then weren't really easily picked on when it came to gangbanging. It was the guys that were the targets.
Right.
They see somebody that looked like they were affiliated or they were thugged, whatever. You guys are the ones getting hurt behind it. The women really not so much as much as
But
the men.
even but I gotta give it to the back in the 80s and 90s to the homegirls then. They're different from now. Like they were, the homegirls were really with it too though,
Yeah.
just as much
Oh yeah.
as the dudes. Real shit.
Yes. It definitely was. We weren't playing games. Like I said, we might have got our ass kicked by dudes, but we knew what we were getting ourselves into. People
Yeah.
tell me, do I think that my mental health had to do with because of the trauma and stuff that I witnessed as a kid? And I tell them no. It To me, it was normalized for me because we grew up in it, and it was just something that we knew happened. But being from the neighborhood and getting jumped in was I knew there was consequences.
Right.
I didn't go in blind. Like I knew that if I'm gonna become from this gang, I'm gonna have to face whatever comes with it. The fighting, the um being jumped or being shot at or whatever, right? So my mind was already set that I knew this was my consequences, but I did it anyways. A lot of kids don't know that now. They don't realize what consequences are, or they think they can get away with it because they're watching too much, playing too much Grand Theft Auto, and you
Right.
know
Right.
that's today's problem. The video
Yeah.
games and what
Yes.
and what social media is teaching them about the lifestyle. That's not the lifestyle. Let me,
That's how they're being raised now on social media and like you said, Grand Theft Auto for
yeah,
most of the young men.
yeah. But so that's my plan. That's my plan to do classes and to educate people on the lifestyle and what we've faced and what we've gone through growing up. Back in those days, wearing our Cortezes, Charlie Browns, and stuff like that. To me, I never wore Charlie Browns. I only wear them to this day. I only wear them when I do my shows. I
Mm.
never dressed that way. But you had gangs like on the east side. That was their style. I remember my homeboys. I'd see them in their slacks. I'd see them, with a vest, a white T-shirt, a nice vest. those were my older homies how they used to dress back in the days. The girls the same thing with their slacks or their dickies and their vinyl shoes and their hair feathered and
Right.
so when I see girls wearing like the Charlie Browns now or like maybe like in the late 90s early 2000s, that was like a whole different
Right.
era style of dressing. I was
How
like
about
basic t-shirt, Levi's, and
right,
my
right.
Cortez.
How about like nowadays though, like the like it's weird because I don't want to keep I'm sorry, but I don't like to get on the youngsters. How is it like not for all, but a lot of these youngsters, how they dress now, it's hard to what I mean, but they could be the most hardest, what I mean, little dudes or whatever, but it just doesn't match, you know what I mean? But with what we know, and then you're a bang or a member or whatever, it just doesn't match with the look anymore.
Yeah.
That's for the men, especially, but the women too. They just want to be cute and all that. When, like you said, back in the days, the women were like, but I don't know. What do you think about today's, you know, whole
Sometimes I sit
package?
back and I laugh at it. It's I laugh at it like and I say to myself or my head like only if they only knew if they only knew what what we went through. But
Right,
it's a lot of it's just for show for them, and like I said, they not that they're not maybe hip to it. I'm sure they are because either their grandma, or their grandpa, their mom, their dad
right,
was part of the gang lifestyle in their days. These kids are not, but they liked the way they dressed,
right,
and looked, and they want to keep that up and it's cool when it's for shows. But even the dancing, I see them doing the cholo dance, and they're dancing like all the way to the floor. Like I don't remember that shit ever happened. Like where did this style come out from? It kind of reminds me, I don't know, like seeing something out of a circus, and that little circus song comes out of my head. Ding 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 ding. Ding. Or
right,
dance,
right, right.
like I like I don't remember ever seeing my homeboys dancing like that, or even my homegirls. Like where did that come out from? That style, Shit, I remember we had break dancing still back in the 80s, 90s. My homeboys would do that, and yeah, they
Right.
had the little gangster dance too. But when I see them dance now, I was at the Santa Fe swap meet a couple of weeks ago, and I kept seeing everybody doing that same dance, and I'm like, I don't know where that came out from, or
so
who created it, or where
so
they
it's
got.
over. It's over. So you're saying it's overdone at this point? Because see, someone else would look at that and just think that's just how
That's,
like you just said. You know what I mean?
I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, that ain't
That,
that
they'll be like, that's
ain't
it
my
right
era.
there. That's it. That's it. That's all you got to learn. You're good.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you're elaborating on all this. It's beautiful. But
And
Deandra, go ahead. I know. Go ahead, Deandra.
it's nice to have a different, transparent response to it because a lot of times we've had other guests in the past where they kind of tread light and they're very like, "Oh, it's
Right.
cool. That's what they want to do." Yeah, but instead of like saying what they truly feel and saying, "This is kind of this ain't what it should be," but I guess.
Yeah. No, I
She
always
keeping it
have to
real.
keep it real. I have to. I
Keep
mean,
it real.
it, you, they have to know. The only way people are going to learn, and the only way people are going to understand, is by keeping it real. Am I going to get backlash and hate? Yeah, I am, but I don't care. I'm going to keep it real. That's me. I don't sugarcoat nothing of what I have to say. Even like with the movie, people always one of the big questions that I get from that is, was Nally who played Whisper, was she a real homegirl from Echo Park while she was filming? Yes, she was. She was from my neighborhood, and then later got jumped out of my neighborhood and got into
Oh.
a different neighborhood that was
Oh.
a rival gang from us.
Oh.
I
I
just
never
had
heard that story. Hold up, hold up, hold up. I never heard that story. Right, bring that, please. I mean, I don't want to be messy, but
no, no,
wow.
but it's real shit. This is what I talk about. It's real. Like if this is real stuff that happens in neighborhoods, right? Yes, she
Yeah,
she
yeah,
was
definitely, it does happen. But
yeah
why
she
would
was from
you?
my
But
neighborhood,
I mean,
and
at that point, you've been in a movie, you're a star, and your neighborhood is a neighborhood.
yeah,
Really?
yeah.
Why would that? Why would that happen? Just because she moved or what?
I can't even recall why it happened. I just know she got jumped out and she got into another neighborhood that was an enemy neighborhood of ours. Now I know she had
Wow.
family was from that neighborhood. So did I. I
Oh,
had family
right.
from rival
That's
neighborhoods.
that's still no excuse.
Yeah, is no excuse, but to each his own. She chose. I don't ever bad mouth her, but that's one of the big things that always comes up in
Wow.
people ask. She's doing good. She's doing good as a mother, raising her kids and
That's
living
good.
her life. And you know, it turned
Wow.
her in a different. How can I say? She went a different route, and it turned her. I want to say maybe it worked out for her the better.
Right, right.
It's,
Okay. I mean, I understand probably from a grown up civilian standpoint, but for on the flip side though, that's like,
it's
oh.
a no no.
And then you always got to look at that movie too, like, oh, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. We try to get her to come out to do stuff. Like we said, because we're older, I don't care now, but
Right, right, right.
I know they tried to get her to come out and be part of events and stuff like that, but
So
I
that's
know.
why we never see her. That's why I used to wonder why. That's why we don't
Yeah,
probably don't see her.
yeah.
Wow.
And
Okay.
I'm sure because it has to do with Echo Park, that's why she doesn't. She's very prideful. I know she was part of uh these girls called, oh my god, Chola pinups, I believe they were, and she was like their ambassador. So she does stuff with them, or used to do stuff with them, but it was like that agency or that organization was to like uplift women, and they would help women. Something just fell behind you, and
Oh, me?
no,
No,
Oh, Deandra? Oh, okay. I'm
yeah,
like, oh,
but
that's
yeah.
crazy.
So
Yeah,
we
that
try to,
definitely happens, but that's hard. I'm
yeah.
sorry. Go ahead.
No, but I try to be, understanding, especially now that I'm an adult, older, and I don't ever question her as to why she doesn't want to do it. But I've been asked, if we ask her, can she come out? I'm like, yeah, I'm not tripping. I'm not gonna do nothing. That was
But
then. That
that's her
was then.
conscious. That's her conscious though, and it's
Yeah,
probably always gonna feel uncomfortable. You know what I mean?
yeah,
But your conscious more than anything. I
yeah,
would think. You know?
definitely. But no, I mean, and like I said, it's real stuff that does happen.
Yeah, yeah.
Things that
Facts, facts,
yeah, things
facts.
that we don't talk about, but yeah.
Wow.
so are
Okay.
there? You guys have been celebrating the 30-year anniversary all year. So, is there any other Mivida Loca 30-year anniversary celebrations that people should look forward to?
We are so the 24th of this month in Echo Park at El Clasico's Tattoo. Um he does I think it's every year he does it, and he shuts down the streets and has one big party. So I'll be out there as his guest, and I'll have stuff that I'll be selling as well, to keep the movie going. People can come meet me, and I believe Shadow might be here with me as well. Other events that I have coming up that's honoring the 30th anniversary, the Summer Nights in Hollywood in September with Nationwide Presents. Yeah, so we'll be there doing a meet and greet as well. Um, and I have a couple more. I'm still not fully sure of the date. Like I haven't confirmed the dates yet, but we just any promoter that has been hitting me up to go out there and do these events, they ask, can they do a meet and greet? Can we sponsor it as a meet and greet? And I tell them yes, that's fine. But my next one, like I said, is tomorrow, which will be North Hollywood, the 24th here in Echo Park. So you get to meet me in my elements in the neighborhood on the 24th, and then September with Nationwide Presents. We'll be celebrating, and I have something up my sleeve that I want to do in my neighborhood before the year ends, and try to. I want to do it here where the movie actually took place and happened, and people get to see that main part where Sad Girl and Mousy are talking shit um, in the apartments where they're fighting with each other, or arguing with each other. So I want to try to do something within that area right there, and yeah.
Are any of those places? So there's still a few places that are still original, or has everything been changed? Like for most of it.
Building wise, they're all still there. The storefronts now are different. So where the apartment building where I was talking about is on Echo Park in Morton, and the whole bottom now are like cafes. I think there's a cafe, a juicer. Another one is like an organic store that sells vegetables and fruits and flowers, organic. And but the building's still there. the streets are still there. Just the storefronts have changed to the area.
Mm, okay.
I think the only oldest thing that's still here are the Holloway cleaners that still are cleaners, and CNI clothing. And CNI clothing is where we would buy our clothes and get a lot of our tailoring done to our clothes. So
Okay.
yeah, they're the last two of from my childhood that are still here.
I want to thank you so much for coming on Better again. And one more time for anybody who wants to reach out or anybody who just kind of wants to follow your journey and your path with everything that's going on, your social medias.
Vero Echo Park on Instagram.
Perfect. So next
We got all
week,
the links in the chat. DD put all of your links there. So everyone just go to the chat. You can see all of her links, everything. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
they're all good. But thank you so much, Beto, again for coming on. And if there's anything in the future that you want to promote, you're always welcome to come back on.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Once I do
Yeah.
that, once I do the book for the Chicano studies.
Definitely, we want that. And then me, normally what I do is whenever you guys have anything, like I normally like repost it for you guys anyhow.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Definitely.
Yeah, this was
But
amazing. I really enjoyed you coming on here. We got to do this again. You know what I mean? Because you have so much history information. I know we kind of were all over the place. You know what I mean? But that's just how much history and knowledge and insight you have. So thank you again.
You're
yeah,
welcome. You're welcome,
everybody
guys.
gets to talk about you and the accomplishments that
Right.
you've done.
Thank you. I
All right.
appreciate it. It's been a journey. It's been a journey. Definitely has.
Yes.
But thank you, and thank you to everybody that joined and everybody that was watching. I really appreciate it. Much love to you guys.
Yep. Yep. Thank you again. That's her, Veto, aka Stranger.
That's right.
Members of one of the bigger oldie groups on next week. So just be on the lookout for that, guys, next Tuesday. And that's
Yeah.
it for us.
All righty. Thank you, everyone. Thank you again, Stranger. Thank you. And shout out to our producer, DD Hairston. And make sure you guys tune in next week. New guest, like she said, and we'll do it again. Everyone have a great, blessed week. And if you miss anything, just go back, hit the rewind button because this was incredible. Shout out to her again. And if you haven't seen the movie, I don't know where you've been under a rock, but go look at the classic Mi Vida Loca and her other movies, Jumped In. And it was one more, right?
Jumped in, and then there's one that one's not out yet.
Okay, there we go.
But
Okay.
Loca, you can watch it on YouTube, and then Jumped In. I think it's on. I think it's at Amazon.
Okay.
I don't know, but you guys can always rewind and watch back to see where you can find the movie.
Yep, there it is, y'all. Thank you again, everyone in the chat. Thank you for all the love, respect. Thank you for the super chats, and we'll see you guys next week. We are changing the game. G-Lew, Deandra, Chanel. Shout out to our producer, DD Hairston, and we are out of here. Peace, y'all.